What's going on? Michael Lawn Dude here. Do you feel yourself getting overwhelmed by spring rush? Let's talk about it. What's up? Good old spring rush, first week of April. It's been a whirlwind of events for us in Northern Virginia. Basically, a lot of people, they start mowing the first week of April, but I switched up everything this year because I knew I was a solo owner operator. That's the way I have everything structured for this year, as most know. So I do a lot of commercial, I do a fair amount of residential. It's a pretty good mix. And I fertilize majority. I want to say, I think end of February we put that first preem down, and then end of March we put the second round of applications down, which was all liquid. So I say all that to say my properties, they grow thick. This is why I recommend weekly mowing, although I'm not one of those guys that say weekly or no clients at all. I do have a fair amount of bi-weeklies as well. But basically, the way I tried to do it was I'm not going to say I tried to hurry up and finish mulch, but my goal was to have mulch done by mid-March, which we were able to do, thank God. That was my biggest bottleneck for being solo, and the way I was able to combat that was my guy who had been working with me for years, who basically straight up told me, you know, whenever I need him, just let him know. I had two bigger commercial mulch jobs where I needed help. Like, I know the rubber mulch job we did, that was 750 bags. That would have taken me a while. I had budgeted for it to take me over a week, but instead I unloaded it one day with a rented skid steer with forks and on tracks, and the next day the two of us went over there and spread all the mulch, whereas with me it probably would have took me at least 2 days, a whole extra day I would say. So that saved time. And I ended up taking him to my biggest commercial property as well to help me spread the mulch there. And I did all the rest. But I could say I was able to get 98% of our mulch jobs done, which was the goal. There's one job that takes 10 yards. Client there wanted us to wait until they plant their annuals. So it is what it is. I have another client that I do every year for mulch, and I'll probably just see if they would like it that same day, and I'll go ahead and knock them both out. He wants to wait till May, unfortunately, though, which it'll be extra hot. But basically, the way I combated the spring rush so far is that fifth week, can't even talk this morning. That third week of March, I want to say it was the third week, it might have been the second week, be honest with you, because we were done with mulch right at the beginning of March. And yeah, I went out like the second week of March, and I did kind of like that first cleanup cut on my commercials where you have leaves. I ran the mulching blades with the mulch plates in and all that, and I still had the bagging unit on my right ZK at the time, and I did that first initial cut and, you know, blade edging on my commercials to kind of train them up and get them ready, because everybody knows the first cut of the year, it takes so much longer. I don't know what it is, but it takes so much longer. I guess it's because you're trying to train the edges and everything for the whole season. So I really started second week of March, which is the earliest I've probably ever started any type of cutting. And then when we went to the third week, I added in more of my fertilized year-round clients. And I ran them down at way lower than I ever cut them. Usually I cut them 3.5 this time of year at minimum. I was cutting them at like 3. Some properties were getting cut down at like 2.5 to kind of cut that top layer off and get it nice and green, which that plan beyond worked. So by the time we got to the third and fourth week of March, I pretty much ran through all my list as far as mowing goes, to where these lawns were trained up. So at this point, only lawns that are taking a lot longer are the ones that are brand spanking new, instead of going through a whole route taking forever. So really with spring rush, I think the key is, or at least for me, continue to keep the quality up. Don't get overwhelmed, because it's real easy to do that. If you're a decent company, I mean you are a decent company, you're doing good work, great work, your phone is going to be off the hook, your emails are going to be off the hook, because most know I went digital. So for me, it's emails more so, and somehow people still find my landline and call that, even though I don't get to that as fast. So that's the main thing, finding out what is the quickest way for people to get in touch with you. If you're a person like me who's in the field and doesn't really get to the phone like that, I wouldn't suggest giving them your phone unless you really, really, really need to work. I know in my case, if I gave them my cell phone number, I won't ever get any work done. I've been there, done that. I still have some clients that have my cell number, and it is hard to get work done when you're in the middle of a big route, you're the owner operator, you have to be out there running the equipment, and your phone is ringing nonstop. At this moment in time, really the only time I would stop and pick up my phone on a property is if it's my family. Usually if my wife calls, I'll stop, I'll pick that up. If it's my parents, family, close friends, I will stop and pick it up, usually because they already know usually that I'm working. And if they're calling me, it's important, and they're important to me, so I have no problem stopping and picking that up. But if you do that for every last client that calls in, a potential client, I understand you need to get business, but it's going to be hard to keep your current clientele pleased at the same time. So I just recommend you keep your pace, whatever pace you need to be at to provide quality service. I know in my case, these last 2 weeks, I've been getting off later than I would like, and we have put the kids in sports this year. So both of our kids are in sports, and they have practices and games and whatnot, and I plan to be a part of everything. And with the spring rush schedule, that is very difficult, and I'm still trying to find that balance when it comes to like what time I should be starting in the morning to get off at a decent time. But the first couple weeks, I've been getting off later than I usually would throughout the regular season, but at the same time, I'd be getting off so much later had I not started earlier with the cutting. So at this point, I would just say, yeah, run your race, whatever it takes to provide the quality services. Find the best communication. Find the best communication with you that a client can do. Again, in my case, it's email. So the clients email me. I pick my time of day a lot of times as to when I sit there and reply the client's email. And usually it's in the evenings. I go ahead and reply their emails. I have a lot of stuff that's kind of automated. When I use Yardbooks, Yardbook. So basically, I have templates in there. When the estimate comes in, I got an email I automatically send out every time the estimate comes in. Let them know I'll be there within the next few days. I'll drive by and then email a quote. And then I also ask, what else they're looking for, what all they're looking for in service. So I qualify them pretty much, make sure they're in the area that I service, and make sure that we're a good fit. And then another key for me, in my case, is just telling the client what to expect. Like, don't tell a client, I'll be there ASAP to look at your property, and then show up 3 days later. 9 times out of 10, they already found someone. And another thing to that is, you can tell them you'll be out within the next couple of days, but try to get there as soon as you can, because a lot of these people, they're not patient enough to wait for you in the middle of a spring rush. They try to make their emergency your emergency. I heard that with the Lawn Care Rookie, Naylor's podcast one day. Don't make the client's emergency your emergency. So basically, if somebody seems like they're urgent to get you there and you don't think you'll get there in time, you should figure that out right away. But I would say get to a quote as soon as possible. Again, I use Yardbook. I click on the property and I try to measure it out and get a ground view. A lot of times I can send a quote without even seeing the property. But then you have properties like, I'm leaving 2 properties for one potential client right now. They're big properties and you can't see them all from, the computer view. So I actually had to go out there and lay eyes on it before I misquoted. So you gotta have something that you do have to get to. A lot of times it's easier to route that in with what you're already doing for that day. But in my case, the reason why I leave it to where in that email says I'll be out within the next couple of days is because it gives me time instead of me trying to rush to get there. Like, say if I'm falling behind on my regular route, my regular clients, I can just, move the estimate to either the end of that day after I'm done working, or I can move that to the next day, and it's not a problem. But if you put the expectations out there, like say, hey, I'll be out there today, you got 20 stops on the route, and you have to get them in because you done talked to them, or you're definitely losing that potential client. So say you squeeze them in and they're a little bit outside the area that you're working in, and then you miss maybe 5 homes off of the route that you already had, then you backed up for the next day. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to panic and become backed up on your regular route. So the main thing is take care of your current clients, even though you're trying to secure potential new clients. All right, well, that's my 2 cents worth on surviving the spring rush. Again, run your race, man. That's the main thing I'm gonna say. Run your race. Whatever it takes to provide quality services. It gets tough because you get rain, you get all these things in the forecast. I know this week alone, for me, I've had mowing, a lot of mowing. I've had a debris removal job I had to do at the end of one mow route this past week. And then I had aerations, and I had a couple applications. So, and I had estimates. So it's a lot going on. But again, just make sure every last one of those jobs you're doing is quality. And a lot of times when you take care of your current clientele, you get more work from the current clientele. So don't forget about them when you're out here trying to get the next best potential client. Don't forget about the person that's been taking care of you this whole time, client-wise. Don't forget about them. Well, all right, that's my 2 cents worth. As you can tell, it was starting with how to survive spring rush, but I think new title for this is Run Your Race. Run your race, man. Provide quality services. Don't ever shy away from that. If you stop providing quality services, then all of a sudden you're losing your current clientele, and then you need to get them new people. Alright, that's my 2 cents worth. Y'all take it easy. Any questions, just holler. Peace.